It is the truth. Mike Jackson, who is already, I'm just going to say it, had one of the most unique professional fighting careers of anybody in MMA history. And it's getting even more interesting now. You're going to be facing UFC Hall of Famer Pat Miletich at Caged Aggression
Oh,
36, Saturday, October the 14th. Now, Mike, this is a crazy situation, right?
yeah.
Miletich, former trainer to you, former friend, but certainly found some beliefs did not align, to put it mildly. But then how does this thing get turned into an actual fight? Because I know you always like to stir the pot a little bit, but never did I think this was actually going to come together. And yet here we are on the eve of a fight.
Yo, you're good, dude. If I'm being honest with you, I never foresaw. Like again, I look at myself as an outlier in the sport. I've been able to just through people I know and being in the right place, right time, given what I want out of life. It kind of just made sense for me to kind of be doing these crazy fights, right? But this one, it really kind of took me back, given that everyone, if you follow me on social media, I'm very pro-black. I'm anti-white nationalist, and I'm antagonizing these guys online daily, right? And when Pat kind of went full, like yeah, I've been on Pat for over a decade, and he and we could sit down and have conversations. We can have dinner, and I understand his political background. He's very conservative where he comes from, but even at that time, conservatism wasn't what it is now. Like these people have clearly jumped the shark. They're in this QAnon MAGA space, and like their conspiracy mindsets is outlandish. But in the time when he and I are good friends, again, we can have conversations. I can understand his point of views, and vice versa. But I draw a line, dude, at the white nationalist rhetoric, and that's these guys' ideologies now. And then when you cross that, I can no longer be friends. Like you're telling me that your rationale is just, to me, it's illogical, right? And so I can't side with these individuals. Given I don't care who you are. I've lost essentially in this whole since the MAGA has taken over the world or whatever. I've essentially lost like two friends. Pat's one, and then another mutual friend. Was my old manager back in the day. Other people, clearly in the fight world, you're going to get these types of individuals. So sure, they're casuals that I would speak to when I would see out in public. But even those guys, like I don't even talk to them. All right, but I'll be honest with you. When I lost those two, Pat and Reagan, we used to call him Fritz Fowler. That was his like little troll account. Those two really hurt because these were individuals who, despite their political beliefs, like these were people that I will call my friends, my brothers, like having dinner with Pat over the years, same with Reagan, and staying at his home and meeting his family. We built these bonds and camaraderies. And for me, logically, I would think that you would want to support someone that you call your friend and brother over this crazy conspiratorial ideology, but I was wrong, unfortunately. But it is what it is to that resort. So, Pat's he's in his feelings about it. I'm sure you're gonna ask how it kind of got started, but he's in his feelings about shit. He's texting me, he's like, bro, you're a Marxist, communist, fascist. I'm like, dog, you have no idea what any of these words mean. Like, you gotta stop. Like, go to sleep. It's past your bedtime. And he was very adamant about like fighting me. In the moment, I didn't really get it. I was like, what is this dude talking about? Like, dude, I'm not fighting you. But hindsight now, hearing some of his interviews, hearing him at the press conference, I get why fighting was his avenue. And yeah, like I'm about to dog walk Pat Miletich, which is crazy to me.
That is wild. All right, the fight's taking place in Davenport, Iowa, so it's in his backyard there. It is streaming live for anybody that's not going to be able to make it out there. You can get the pay-per-view on cagedaggression.tv.
Yeah.
Uh, it is still weird. Like I said, I mean, you've had one of the weirdest fighting careers, but even for you, this has to seem like a little bit odd, right? I mean, this is a Hall of Famer. There's no
Yeah.
question that you cannot question the man's credentials inside the cage.
100%.
However, he is 55 at this point now, right? I mean,
57. Everyone says he's 55. He's 57. Y'all gotta
57.
we gotta make sure we get the right age on there for this dude. It's 57.
50s. So how do you, I mean, how do you even prepare for somebody like that? Like, what are you expecting to see on the other side of the cage?
Oh man, so I am a very people who again you follow you hear or read my rhetoric online. I'm a very logical thinking person. So, but also I'm not sleeping on this guy. So in my heart is telling me like, yo, like this is the best Pat Miletich. This is he's the first UFC welterweight champion, right? So I'm expecting, or my heart is expecting for the best Pat Miletich, right? Also, given we're fighting in Davenport, I'm I if I had to put money, if I were him, like you gotta be on some PEDs, you gotta be on some AGA, some testosterone, you gotta be on something. You can't go into this fight just naked the way at 57. You gotta have some type of enhancement, right? Best case for him. So that's what I'm expecting. But the logician in me, the logical thinking person is like, yo, he's 57. He's like, because I understand the physics of fighting, right? And he's 57. Your body's gonna break down through not only through the wear and tear of training and fighting over these past few decades, but also you have to take into account that during his time in his like late 40s and even early 50s, he's doing like these Leadville marathons, right? And so that in itself is going to put wear and tear on your body that you can't really prepare for. And I say this as a 30-year-old man. Look, I think tomorrow is like the anniversary of my very first fight 15 years ago, right? And which is crazy because I don't even feel 38. I'm just because of MMA, you just keep going, right? There's no seasons. And I know how my body feels, right? I am very much focused on my main attribute of fighting at this point right now is recovery. I think it's one of the most important things. I sort of took it for granted coming up like in my 20s, and even as a kid, like I played all kinds of sports, basketball, football, tennis, swimming. Um, Recovery for me was like not a thing. Like I go play, train, whatever, and then shit, I'm gonna play some video games or going to eat after, right? I'm not really like stretching and doing all these things. But now, once I think it hit me probably maybe about 4 years ago, I started feeling a little different. Like, oh shit, what's that? And then my brother, who's an athlete, I think, bro, you're not stretching, you're not recovering right. So now, like, I'm really dedicating to I get massages, I'm going to the chiropractor, I'm doing salt baths, I'm drinking more water, I'm doing all of these things to make my body feel better. And so when I look and I think when I look at Pat, not only his physique currently, but his posture. And then we also have to we can't dismiss the dude's his alcoholism. Like that's a real thing, right? And so when you add that, there just tells me like his body isn't prepared for what's about to take place next week on October 14th. I get his mind is like, yo, I'm Pat Miletich. I'm a pioneer. I get that. But your body is saying some different shit right now. Your body, dude, I got what was it? Jason Reinhart, this fucking doof from I think he's like Florida or something. He's part of UFC. Like he's essentially a troll now, right? He's all in my DMs like, bro, like Pat Miletich is knocking out boxers in sparring. I was like, well, pro boxers. I'm like, I don't know what pro boxers is Pat Miletich is knocking out, but cool. And then he's like, at like 4:30 in the morning, but Pat's doing road work right now. What are you doing? First of all, I was asleep at 4:30 in the morning. I'm getting my rest. But if Pat's doing road work at 4:30, like that says something about that he's not ready for what's about to happen, just his body. And it's wild to me that this is his choice. He's the one who begged for like he said all the arguments. I respect his desire to want to fight, but there's consequences for this shit. And again, he thinks he's fucking 20, 30-year-old Pat Miletich, but he's not. He's 57-year-old Pat Miletich with a lot of with a lot of elements.
It's funny, Mike, because you have definitely found yourself in no-win situations before, and I just wonder if that feels familiar here at all. You know what I mean? If you win this fight the way you say that you're going to win it, people say, "Well, Mike, you beat up the old guy. What is that?" And if he happens to beat you, now it's like, "Oh man," you know. And I know you're used to criticism. I know you're used to dealing with hate, and it's probably not an issue. But I don't know. Is there any of that? Like,
No,
man, I feel like I'm kind of in a no-win here.
no, not at all. Not even for like the punk was. I didn't look. You also have to realize that I look at fight. I come from a different perspective than probably everybody else. Like for me, my objective was never to be the best or to get these accolades and rewards. I literally fight for the shits and giggles. I found something I enjoy doing. It's no different for me going to play pickup basketball, if I'm being honest with you. Like that's how I look at fighting at this point. Or I've always looked at fighting. It's just something I enjoy doing. And I get to have it now. Fighting is stupid. This shit is wild, if I'm being honest with you. Like, you got two individuals who's like, yeah, let's get into this confined space and try to fucking concuss each other or break some shit off or strangle, right? Like, that's stupid to me. But I do stupid shit. And so for this, it's more than a fight. Like, you have to understand, like, I like doing shit for money too. And these people are paying me a lot of money to go out here for this guy who begged for this fight and get to beat the dog shit out of him. You know, I I don't I don't look at that. I don't look at it as a lose lose. People try to bring it up like, oh, you just feeding this old dude. First of all, I didn't ask for this fight, right? Like I wasn't like, yo, I got to find somebody to fight. Pat, come fight. Like that wasn't the case. It was Pat's doing. He has his own personal demons he's dealing with, and for someone who only knows fighting, he can't have a conversation with you anymore because his logic is so flawed. So the next course of action is fighting, right? So you take this guy who that's all he knows, and I get to step up for someone again. This wasn't like a fight beef. Like this is a beef based on like anti-black, pro-white nationalism. And given my stance on this subject, I had to. Like I had to do this. I have to do it for the culture. Like this dude is an insurrectionist. Like you have to think about, right? If you're a pro-black, you're a Black Panther, whatever you are, you're on the streets, you at a rally, you can't engage with the you. We see it. We see it at like these crazy rallies. We see like the pro-black or whoever you are versus literal Nazis, right? Literal fucking Klansmen, and they just gotta stand there and like bark at each other, right? They can't do nothing because it's a law. Like I have the opportunity to actually beat the shit out of one of these assholes. Like I'm actually doing something that so many people dream of and wish they could do and have the opportunity to do, but they can't because they would break the law. They're like, I'm getting paid to do this. And I'm my objective for again, I want this dude to be carried out on the stretcher. If he's not, then I'm gonna be disappointed in my own self.
Wow. I was gonna ask you about that. Like, is there? I mean, do you see like resolution in this? I mean, is there a way that like you know? I mean, that's one of the things I've always loved about MMA. Right? You'll have two guys that absolutely hate each
Right.
other, but then they go in there 15 minutes, 25 minutes, whatever it is, and then you see the mutual respect afterwards. This seems a
Mhm.
little more deep seated than that. So I don't know if there's going to be hugging it out at the end of this, but do you
No,
feel,
no.
is there any type of resolution possible in this, or is it just, I need to beat this guy's ass and that's it?
That's really because again, like we take back to what you just said, right? The fighting, a lot of beef and animosity is sort of fight related. And again, I've never been the type of person who I have to have like any hatred or animosity towards to fight. Like I've always looked at this as the competitive sport. Two guys, it's human chess, right? And if we kind of have beef through some words said leading up to a fight, that's one thing. But this is much bigger than that. So for me, again, I respect Pat for what he's done for the sport in a fight scenario, right? Anything fight related, I fully respect because he's done something that the majority of people, or we've done, like we've stepped into a cage and did some mutual combat. The majority of people could never. I don't even say would never. They could never do that, right? So I respect it from that point. But as a person, as a man, he has these individuals have no these people, their lives and opinions mean nothing to me. And I told him now, like, yo, like you think you matter. Like your life is no more important to me than a piece of lint. And I mean that because these individuals are white nationalists. Whether they like I know they hate the label. We talk about Jake, this dude, Jake committed a crime and recorded it and posted it because I called him a Nazi. Now, his ideology is clearly white nationalist. You see it all day, every day on the social media, but he hates the label of being called a Nazi because he understands what's behind that brand. Look, if you don't want to be called a Nazi, don't say and do Nazi shit. The same with Pat. Like he's upset that he got he didn't even get fired. Like he made this whole story up because he was at the Klan rally at the Capitol. Like that was a you thing. If you don't want to be labeled a Klansman or a Nazi or a white nationalist, don't do white nationalist shit. It's as easy as that. But you have the people who want to do the actions, but don't want to be labeled that way. That's not my fault. So again, Pat, he did these things. He's upset about it, and until you change that behavior, now there is it, the only thing that I will respect, and I just thought about it yesterday. I was talking to somebody and it kind of hit me. They're like, "Oh, can you?" Same questions, like, "How can would this ever be closed or come to like some resolution?" He and I can never be friends because I understand what white nationalism is, right? This is deep seated shit. I can never be friends with him again. I can now if he comes and apologizes for being a white nationalist, bro, you know what? My theories in life was fucked up. I have a different opinion now. I will respect that and I will acknowledge it. And if he apologizes for that, cool. Anything other than that, there is no resolution to this. Outside of this dude, like he dies. Like I don't give a fuck. Again, it is what it is.
It's wild, man. It's I've been covering the fight game for a long time, man, and this might be as deep seated of true difference between two athletes getting in there as I've ever seen. So hopefully everybody's things stay safe and it just ends up staying in the cage. But we're gonna see that kind of craziness again.
People was like, "Bro, you going to Davenport?" I was like, "Bro, I'm gonna have my security with me. Gotta have the team. I don't want to get too much about the security clear or what we're doing security wise, but we're gonna be there." Like, I can't. Like, this isn't just a regular fight. This is way different than that. Now, I will say it gave me some sort of a resolve a little bit. It kind of helped me out. Is when I went to Davenport to do the press conference. I met a lot of cool individuals, and come to find out, there are a bunch of Mexicans in Davenport. I don't know how they got to Davenport, but my people, my Mexican brethren, are in Davenport. So I definitely feel a little bit safer knowing that's the sort of demographic in the city. I'm not just going to a Klan rally, right? Because that's what I was like when I went about. You got to come to Davenport to do press conference. I was like, shit, I might be going to a Klan rally, not too far from that. But no, I feel a little better just understanding the people that are in Iowa at the moment. Even like I had conversations. Some people walked up to me while I was out there, actual Miletich fans, and wait, yeah. So Miletich fans come in and they like, bro, I'm a Miletich fan. But you made some good points with up there. I kind of understand where you're coming from. And even in the audience, when the audience members were asking like these wild questions, like you could tell like they were trying to say some shit. But as I answered the question, you kind of see on the face like, oh yeah, he makes a good point. So I feel again, you have an individual who's created this lie in his head because these people have to double down on the rhetoric. Like they don't see themselves like these people see themselves as the good guy in this narrative, which they're not. Like these are the enemy for any sane and rational individual who wants prosperity in the world, right? Because these people are trying to tear shit down. And when I can sort of shift the narrative a little bit, like, look, it's not what this dude said. These people are liars. They're pathological liars. And when I can get sort of convince people of what's actually rational thinking, I feel better about it.
All right, well, we're going to see it play out on October 14th. Mike, last thing I have for you, you said it. You weren't really looking for this fight, but once it was laid out there, you were like, I can't turn it down. Are you looking for fights after this? I mean, is this the start of something for you, or is it a one-off to see how things are?
Over the pandemic, man, I had some ideas, and when we were kind of locking down, just to because I'm also a content creator, man. Like, although I've stepped back a little bit, just given other things kind of going on in life. I do have some ideas for my own, like, sort of a brand. Whether I'm going around, like, because I get a lot of these like Nazi trolls, like, they're every day, like, and I don't block them because, like, I actually enjoy the engagement. Like, I enjoy antagonizing these people. Like, I'm over here saying some shit about him, and then they all flock. They're like, "Well, I wasn't even talking to you, but if you want to come on, come on." So I have these individuals who who's no, like, you suck, like, I'll beat your ass, blah blah blah. And these are individuals that have no fight experience. So I've really been thinking about doing like this, like a new form of bully beatdown where I'm just going to beat up like these Nazi trolls. That's been one thing. I would love to do that. And then with Jake Shields, like, this dude is out here lying to his hundreds of thousands of people, like, oh, Mike doesn't want to fight me, he's scared. That's not true. Like, I have receipts for all of this shit. This dude, I was trying to set up um essentially like this boxing match. He and I, like, no rounds, no nothing like that, and like a gym. And he agreed to it, but then, like, in private he agreed to it, but then in public he's, you piece of shit, lying racist person. And then I'm like, dude, you agreed to it. Here's the stipulation. This Pat Miletich thing is coming about, and it gave me the idea, like, I need to monetize that. So I was trying to get me and Jake on the Diaz Paul undercard, and I hear my manager like, "Yo, let's try to make this happen," because he's boys with Nate or whatever. He came back, he's like, "Nah, they ain't really fucking with Jake like that." And so I reached after he's doing all this crazy shit online, and I sent him. I was like, "Look, dude, you out here really, like, whitewashing facts. Like, you and I both know what it is right now. But fine, here are the terms, like, because he wants to monetize this shit. He was like, "Yo, I'll put it," because he kept talking about coming to Houston and beat my ass or whatever, and he was gonna put it on Twitter to make money off of it. And I was like, "Look, that if you want to monetize this, let's do it." Like, and so I had the idea. Mike the Truth Entertainment gonna start a promotional company, and then we were gonna do an online stream. He already agreed to box me, so we're going to essentially do kind of like a pride time rule, where the first round is 10 minutes, every round after that is 5 minutes, and we go until someone quits or gets knocked out. And we would split the revenue 60-40, and 60 to the winner, 40 to the loser. And he can monetize it, but he's a pussy. And his response, again, he agreed to this to box me, but then he comes back and says, like, "Nah, you a pussy. I fight MMA. Let's do UFC one bare knuckle rule." I was like, why do I look like doing bare knuckle with Jake Shields? Like, nah. But he got a bunch of other shit to worry about right now. He got a warrant out for his arrest right now, so he needs to deal with that. And even that is like, bro, like, you got some heavy shit coming your way. You better try to monetize trying to whoop my ass, but we'll see. So, to the point of what I want to do, this may be the last one. If I can't get Jake Shields, or I've been looking at like what's the influencer boxing and shit. Look, I love boxing. Everybody knows that's my background and my pedigree. If I can get on some influencer boxing just to go beat up some of these dudes, that'd be cool too. But this could be the last one, or Jake could be the last one, or fucking, I don't know.
Well, whatever happens next, I know you will keep it interesting. I'm still trying to
Always.
wrap my head around this one, man. I can't. I'm still.
Me too. I'm not even lying to you. I'm trying to, like, it's still like, I know I'm fighting Pat Miletich, but then it's also like, bro, like, you fighting Pat Miletich. It's weird. It's just as weird to me as it is to you.
It's weird. It's Cage Aggression 36. It's Saturday, October 14th. If you can't get there in Davenport, Iowa, it's cageaggression.tv. Mike, appreciate the time. Never short on anything to say, and we'll see how the rest of this weird career plays out, my man.
I appreciate you, John. Be good, baby.